Welcome to SportsnStogies. Now, introducing your hosts, Cameron Winkowitz and Austin Hayes.
Pull up that chair, pour up that drink, and light that cigar, because we are back with episode 88 of SportsnStogies, everybody. Welcome back. Obviously, things are going to be a little different today because I am solo. Austin has been having a lot going on and a lot of issues. He is currently locked out of his apartment, and the property manager has not been on site, so it's just me. Got a pretty full show here. I'm going to do my best to keep you entertained. So, without further ado, we'll start with episode promo. So, you know where to follow us. SportsnStogies on TikTok, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. You know where to find the show. This episode is brought to you by All Things Fitness, Mr. Evan Keaton, ACE certified personal trainer. I do not have his contact information, but he is attached to this episode on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, wherever you get your information. So, not smoking a cigar or anything today because I am in my house, in my computer room. So, my wife would be very upset if I lit up a cigar in here. We do not have any fan cues today either, which is fine because not having anybody to bounce off of is going to be kind of weird. So just bear with me. So with that, let's get right into the NFL. First things first, Mike Tomlin signed a 3-year extension with the Steelers. 17 seasons winning as a head coach. They signed him for 3 more years through 2027. If you ask me, it might have been worth it to try and move on because, yeah, he hasn't had a losing season, but you know they haven't been winning the division. They haven't been winning in the playoffs. I don't know. I don't know how Steelers fans feel about this. If you're a Steelers fan, feel free to reach out and let me know what you think. I know Steven's a Steelers fan, and he says they should have walked. So, what do you guys think? You guys let me know as well. I personally am not shocked. I kind of figured that they would re-sign. Their team hasn't been super talented. So to say like that he deserves to not be with the team because they've been losing in the playoffs and postseason or not making the postseason and winning the division, in my opinion, every other team is getting way more talented in the division and they're just kind of not. They swung and missed on Kenny Pickett. Now we'll see with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. I think they're both much better than Kenny Pickett. The defense has been great, but the offensive weapons outside of really George Pickens have been not good either. Chase Claypool didn't pan out. Juju Smith-Schuster didn't pan out. Say what you want about Najee. I still think he's trash. I always will. So, in my opinion, Najee Harris hasn't panned out. Jaylen Warren is all right. So, yeah, I don't know. In my opinion, I don't see why they would have not re-signed him, if that makes sense. So, the other thing we got up is Trevor Lawrence's contract. $275 million, 5 years, is the highest paid quarterback in the league, tied with Joe Burrow. You know what's not tied with Joe Burrow? Trevor Lawrence's statistics. He has the same stats as Daniel Jones through the first 48 career games. This is an insane overpay. I have no idea where this contract came from. I don't see what they see. I have not seen improvement from Trevor Lawrence at all. It's been the same year over year. Maybe they see something we don't. I think he has all the weapons. He has the defense is pretty decent. He's got the offensive line. He's got time in the pocket. He's got the people to throw the ball to. I don't understand why he can't perform, and I also don't understand why they paid him this contract. I think they could have drafted somebody and got the same volume and the same capability out of somebody out of the draft. I mean, they could have drafted somebody this year, traded up. You could have traded Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this contract at all, and I don't think he's earned it. He should have been more around that Daniel Jones 40 to 45 million a year, not 275 million for 3 years or for 5 years. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan at all of that contract signing whatsoever. And now we can jump right into fantasy talk as we have our top 12 wide receivers and top 12 tight ends. So without further ado, we'll start at 12 and work our way up. And if you look at like any other rankings, people are going a little crazy in my opinion. But sorry about that. At 12, this is where I go Devontae Adams. Most have him sitting around like the 14-15 mark. I like him at 12. His ADP is top 10, I think, still. So I like that better, but I like him at my 12 spot because I think these other guys just kind of have way less question marks. They're kind of more solidified in their quarterback play that they have on their team and whatnot. So at number 11, I go Mike Evans. Say what you want, Baker Mayfield performed well last year. Mike Evans, constant 1,000-yard seasons. I think we're kind of over the point of having to worry about if he's quarterback proof or not, and I think he's proven that he is. Yeah, Mike Evans is just the GOAT. So Mike Evans at 11. At 10, this is where I go Puka. The reason being is Cooper Kupp's going to come back healthy. Who knows if they can coincide? I think they both kind of take a hit. Maybe they go back to more of like Robert Woods Cooper Kupp seasons where both guys are just at 1,000 yards and the scores are kind of split. Kind of what I am anticipating. Unless he's just an insane yak guy, then I can see him being up in the wide receiver 6-7 range. But for now, I don't see it personally. At number 9, this is where I go with DJ Moore. Again, another guy that I feel like has proven that he's quarterback proof. To me, has more deep ball opportunities than Mike Evans and has a way better yak than Mike Evans. So I like DJ Moore here. I think his ADP is like 15. So at that ADP, being able to get a guy that I consider a top 10 guy, can't go wrong. I think, yes, they drafted Rome Odunze. Yes, they got Keenan Allen, but I still think DJ Moore is the clear-cut number 1 on that team. I don't think he has anything to worry about as far as getting targets taken away or anything like that. So number 7, this one's interesting because if Brandon Ayuk gets traded, I would put Debo here. But as of right now, Brandon Ayuk has not been traded. So this is where I put Nico Collins. I will not be drafting Nico Collins, but don't get that twisted on how elite he is as a wide receiver. He is very talented. He has the deep ball. He has the route running. He has the yak. He's got the quarterback play. I'm personally just scared of any Texans wide receivers because I don't know how that target share is going to go. But I think Nico Collins will end up being the number one pretty quickly. And I think he has a prime opportunity to finish top 10. I think you can make a case for him finishing top 7. I think you can make a case for him finishing top 5. He had a phenomenal year last year. There is no reason they should take a step back. So, yeah, I got Nico Collins at 7. At 6, this is where I go Amon-Ra St. Brown. Nothing against him. My elite tier is 1 through 6. And then my next tier is 7 through 10. And my next tier is 11 through 19. Just to kind of give you an idea of how I did this. But so Amon-Ra is the start of my high elite tier. If you're drafting wide receivers first, these are the guys that you want to target. If you can get 1, perfect. If you could get 2, you're set for the season. So Amon-Ra is the first one there. Again, clear wide receiver 1. With Jamison Williams being on the field all year, I think we will see some of those targets float in that direction. Sam Laporta, some of the targets will obviously float in his direction. I don't think they'll double down with with 2 running backs. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is the clear-cut one. So I think you can see some of those targets that were split between the running backs kind of float towards Amon-Ra's direction. Obviously, touchdowns are pretty much easy to get for him. Deep balls are there. He's got a ton of big games. I like Amon-Ra a lot. At number 5 is where I go A.J. Brown. Kind of the same thing. The target share is going to be there. Jalen Hurts is going to have to throw the ball more, I think. And I think A.J. Brown is going to be the guy who gets all of those targets. I like Devonta Smith too, but he's kind of more in my tier 4 wide receiver 20 area. So more of just a deep threat where A.J. Brown gets balls over the middle. He gets balls deep. He gets, medium range. His versatility in route running and the amount of separation he needs to get a catch is unreal. At number 4, this is where I go Jamar Chase. To me, I think he's kind of geared up with them losing Tyler Boyd. They did re-sign T. Higgins, which I guess I should have said in the NFL news, but T. Higgins signed his franchise tender, so T. Higgins is back. But I still think they're kind of overly focused Jamar Chase because they're not anticipating on re-signing Higgins long term. So I think you'll see Jamar Chase get a lot of double teams and maybe his volume or his targets are going to be there, but maybe his catch rate goes down. Maybe it's more quick passes instead of long passes. He might get smothered, so the yak isn't really there. There are just a lot of concerns with the Bengals in general. If Joe Burrow goes down again, I don't know. Still in the elite tier, just not 1, 2, or 3, because I think these guys are more secure. Number 3, I go Justin Jefferson. I know everybody's going to say, oh, well, what about J.J. McCarthy? Well, that doesn't matter. Josh Dobbs was throwing him passes. And in the 10 games he played, he had over 1,000 yards. Justin Jefferson is a freak. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He is literally just a freak. So I have legitimately not a single concern about Justin Jefferson's volume, his capability, who his quarterback is. I don't care. It's Kirk Cousins, Josh Dobbs, and so many other guys in there that last year. And to me, that just tells you everything you need to know. If Josh Dobbs can throw for this guy to get multiple 100-yard games, anybody can. I think JJ's arm talent, JJ McCarthy, not JJ Justin Jefferson, but I think his arm talent is phenomenal. I think He is accurate. I think Justin Jefferson is amazing at yak when it comes to short and medium ranged gains. I think he can take those long. I think he can catch long balls. And again, his catch radius and yards per separation needed for a catch is the best in the league. So if you get the ball anywhere near him, he's catching it. Number 2 is where I put CeeDee Lamb. Again, pass-heavy offense. They legitimately have no running backs. They brought Zeke back. I'm not worried about Zeke taking an insane step up in the running game. I think they're still going to be throwing the ball 50 plus times a game. More targets, maybe even for CeeDee. I can see Brandon Cooks making a push and maybe them having 2 top 10 fantasy wideouts this year, to be honest. But CeeDee Lamb, they're going to re-sign him. They have to. I have no concerns about whether he will be playing or not. And I have no concerns that he can finish wideout 1. And then my number 1 is Tyreek Hill. I feel like I don't even need to say much about this. He is literally the man. He can take a bubble screen 70 yards to the house in 5 seconds. Like, his route running's elite. Everything he has capability-wise is elite. His quarterback is good enough to get him the ball, and that's really all that matters. I'm not the biggest fan of Tua, but he gets the job done. So that is my top 12 fantasy wide receivers. Next week, we might go into the top 24. I just kind of cut it in half because I'm by myself. So now I'm going to go get a water and take a quick break. So we will be right back after this. All right, everybody, I am back. Also, sorry if the quality is weird. I'm using my microphone and an online voice mixer that I found, so it might be a little different. But got to make do. Now we have our top 12 tight ends. Honestly, I kind of just agree with the consensus ones, minus 2. So at number 12, I like Pat Freiermuth. They lost Deontay Johnson, so those targets have to go somewhere. And I think Pat Freiermuth healthy you could make a case for him being top 10 easily. So I think he'll get a lot more targets this year. I think he'll come back healthy. I think he'll be good to go. At 11, I like Dalton Schultz. Again, Houston, scary team to pick a guy from. But Dalton Schultz had a lot of good games last year. He had a lot of good opportunities. He made the most out of the opportunities he was presented. And I don't see that changing. At number 10, I have Evan Ingram. And honestly, I kind of wanted to move him higher, but I like other guys' situations better. So Evan Ingram, to me, has the opportunity to finish top 5 tight ends this year. Reason being is they got rid of Calvin Ridley, and those targets have to go somewhere. Now, they did draft Brian Thomas Jr., who is going to take some of those, but I think most of Calvin Ridley's 200 targets are going to be going to Evan Ingram. I think Evan Ingram has the opportunity to have a really, really, really big year. He had a really good year last year, and I don't see why that would slow down at all. Number 9, Jake Ferguson with Dallas. Like I said, 1 million targets to go around. Somebody has to catch him. Jake Ferguson, very reliable. Dak Prescott loves his tight ends. Again, nothing to worry about offensively. Schemed for him, in my opinion. Number 8. This might be where we get some heat, but I got Kyle Pitts. I think without Arthur Smith and with Kirk Cousins, they're just going to be slinging that football. I think Kyle Pitts and Drake London are set to have big years. Kyle Pitts is capable. They should be scheming for Kyle Pitts and Drake London way better. So I have no doubt in my mind that Kyle Pitts and Drake London can get the job done. At number 7, I have Dalton Kincaid. Buffalo's wide receiver room is a complete fiasco. Anybody could be number 1. The only consistent from last year is Dalton Kincaid. So I think Dalton Kincaid will have a very, very big year. I don't really have much more to say about that. Number 6, I have David Njoku. Guy's a beast. He proved it last year. He's reliable. Yes, he does drop some passes, but his hands were really good last year. He had a lot of big runs. He very fast, very athletic. That's why, honestly, the stereotypical fantasy tight end that you want is David Njoku. Capability to take a 5-yard slant 70 yards to the house. Very hard to tackle. Gets a lot of yak. Doesn't really fumble the ball. So, shouldn't be looking at any minus points unless you have minuses for drops, because he will have some drops. Number 5, I go Trey McBride. Had a decent year last year. Full year with Kyler Murray will change things. I also think his targets take a step back because more targets go to Marvin Harrison Jr. So be on the lookout for that. I don't like the price for Trey McBride. That's if you're not getting Sam Laporta or Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews, I would wait, because you can get a Pat Freiermuth or a TJ Hawkinson pretty late, and I think even a Luke Musgrave, guys like that are valuable. Maybe their per game is a little less, but tight end isn't what's winning and losing you fantasy football. So if you are that big on Trey McBride, then go ahead and grab him, but I'm personally not. Then number 4, George Kittle. Again, elite. To me, the top tier is 1 through 4. George Kittle is one of those guys that you grab if you can. You're going to have big games. You're going to have 30-point games. You're going to have 20-point games. You're going to have 25-point games. You're going to have a lot of 10, 11, 12-point games too, which isn't bad, but it's boom and bust with guys like George Kittle, because what he can do on the field exceeds fantasy football. He's a great blocker. There's a lot of things he brings to the field that he is used for that's not catching a ball and scoring a touchdown, but he has that capability as well. So yes, to me, George Kittle is boom and bust, but the booms are worth it. Number 3, I have Travis Kelce. Honestly, if there was somebody who was a little more consistent, I would have put Travis Kelce out of my top 5. With the injuries last year, I think we are seeing the decline of Travis Kelce. I'm not sure this could be his last year. He had ankle injuries all year. His volume went down. His yak wasn't great. He had a couple big games, but again, it's just not the Travis Kelce that we're used to seeing. He's in year 9, so that's to be expected. But to still be drafted as a first, second round guy is crazy to me. I will not be paying that for Travis Kelce at all. At number 2, I have Mark Andrews. Again, with the volume, how they utilize their tight end, Mark Andrews is exactly what you're looking for as one of these top guys. Number 1 is Sam Laporta, and I'll just add him in because I'm going to say the same thing. These guys are going to be getting you 15-plus points a game. There's no doubt in my mind. They're going to get 8-9 catches a game. They're going to get 10 yards per catch. Like you're looking at 2 potentially. You're looking at 2 what I feel like is guaranteed 1,000-yard tight ends, and maybe even up to 1,200 yards. But I also think you're looking at easily 5 touchdowns, if not more. These guys are so talented and get so heavily utilized in their offense that there is just really no no bad thing about him, honestly. You could say, well, Mark Andrews was hurt last year. Yeah, well, that doesn't matter, because if you play fantasy football based on people getting hurt, you're also not drafting Christian McCaffrey, who's the running back one from last year and the offensive player of the year. So miss me with that nonsense. And now we can jump over to the NBA, where we've got some news and the finals wrapping up. First things first, JJ Redick is now the coach of the Los Angeles Lakers because Hurley decided, I'm going to three-peat instead. So honestly, I don't blame Hurley, and I do not like this for JJ Redick at all. I think he will be a good NBA coach. I just think that the Lakers aren't a team where they really are coached, because they have a LeBron James. They have these guys that are solidified. There's not really any young core that needs coached. Like, you're just kind of a placeholder. Like, maybe you're drawing up plays, maybe you're telling guys to foul when you're up 3 or whatever. I think LeBron does respect JJ Redick's basketball knowledge. I just don't know how much of that's going to apply to coaching. Yeah, I don't know. I like that he is going to be an NBA coach, because I think he will be a very good NBA coach. I just think that a younger team would have been a better place for JJ Redick to start his career. But at the same time, younger teams usually aren't that good. So if he went to a team like the Detroit Pistons, yes, he could make them better. But how long would he have his job? I mean, Monty Williams got fired after 1 year, which is my next point. Monty Williams got fired. I think the GM needs fired. I don't think Monty Williams was the problem. I'm not going to say he helped the problem. But, yeah, firing Monty Williams is insane, because you're still paying him $66 million. Coaching isn't the problem there. The GM is the problem. They can't draft. They can't trade. They have a terrible roster. All of their prospects are swings and misses. Cade Cunningham's the best player on that team outside of the Thompson twin, and Cade Cunningham's garbage. Like, if you put Cade Cunningham on any other team, he is their worst player. Now, the Thompson twin is a very talented basketball player, but one talented basketball player doesn't make you a good team. The rest of the team is so bad. They do nothing in the offseason. They do really nothing in the draft. I don't know what happened from the early 2000s to now, but the Detroit Pistons have just been on this insane downward spiral that makes no sense to me. All right, moving on from coaches. What a finals, I guess. Celtics took game 2. They took game 3 as well. And then the Mavs in the second game in Dallas blew out the Celtics by 40. And then the Celtics go back home and absolutely stomp the life out of the Dallas Mavericks. Josh Green was the only player who shot over like 20%. Hopefully Dallas can use this as a learning point, because it was a grueling to get there, but then it just seemed like they gave up once they were there. Like, getting to the finals was them winning the finals, is what it really felt like. Yeah, hard to watch, really. Not really great basketball from either side. Celtics played good when they had Kristaps. Celtics defense was good. Offensively, they kind of struggled. Efficiently, at least, for efficiency. They struggled with efficiency. But yeah, overall, wasn't really that entertaining from a like a casual fan's point of view, I guess. But the defense was very fun to see. The Celtics played amazing defense. That was actually really good to see. I think this is a good notch in Joe Mazzulla's belt. I think they can hold on to this team for a while, and they can be a pretty solid dynasty. With all the issues all the other top seeds are having in the East, coaches getting fired, people wanting traded, people saying they want traded and then not getting traded. the East is kind of just getting blown up, and the Celtics kind of seem like they have everything locked down. So as long as they don't lose any key pieces, Derek White, Kristaps, very important. Keep all their role players. They could be a serious dynasty. Now we're going to move on to the NHL, where the Stanley Cup Finals started with the Edmonton Oilers versus the Florida Panthers. And I don't know if they do it. Stanley Cup Finals MVP, Sergei Bobrovsky. Complete shutout in Game 1 on I think Edmonton went 0 for 20 on shots on goal. Florida's defense and physicality was just not matched. Edmonton, not really known for their physicality. I feel like they kept up as much as they could. But yeah, there was lots of penalties, very physical game. You can definitely tell they were throwing off Connor McDavid. Leon Draisaitl was nowhere to be found in Game 1. In Game 2, the Panthers had 3 third-period goals to take the win. Bouchard just completely disappeared. Draisaitl had a cheap elbow on Barkov. There was a lot more chippy, which is really what the Edmonton needed. They needed to get chippy, but unfortunately they still couldn't make out the win, because in the third period the Panthers hit 3 goals and won 3-1. In Game 3, it was a pretty shut and dry, I'm going to stomp you in your hometown, which gave Florida the 3-0 lead, just like the NBA Finals. However, in Game 4, the Oilers explode for 8 goals, 8-1. Just an absolute masterclass offensively by the Edmonton Oilers. And then in Game 5, Connor McDavid finally turns it on and puts up 4 more points to force Game 6. 42 points for the playoffs for Connor McDavid. If he can keep this trajectory going back to Edmonton, because they stole Game 5 in Florida, now they're going back to Edmonton. This could be a 7-game series, and it has been nothing outside of electric. It has literally been unreal. The Stanley Cup Finals compared to the NBA Finals is night and day in entertainment. Now we've got a little bit of baseball news. Mookie Betts, Austin's favorite for MVP, fractured his hand, unfortunately, so he will miss some serious time. The Orioles are also going through the rest of their schedule is, I don't know if Austin was trying to say it was tough or if it was hard, but it's here for the next month. It's pretty tough. You got a series with the Astros, a series with the Guardians, a series with the Rangers, then a series with the Mariners, which I'll talk about here in a second. That's a tough stretch to hold on to this number 1 position that they're in. So, yeah, I don't know. Definitely tough, especially with the Mariners being at the head of that division, 44-33, and they're on fire. In their last 25 games, they're 17-8. I mean, it has just been. They're getting insane. 10 hit games, 11 hit games, 9 hit games, all kinds of runs. Not super home run heavy, but they've just been playing great small ball. Defensively, they're sound. They've been pitching well. But ultimately, they've just been outscoring and out-hitting, and it has just been high-scoring games, but the Mariners have just been pulling through. So, and then the Guardians also, the Orioles have the Orioles are scheduled to have a series with, are also no slouch. here soon we will have Olympics news. Right now, the USA teams are being made. I have been keeping up with the heats, and I've been keeping up with all the trials, the US trials and stuff. It's been a lot of fun. I know the cricket team is going crazy. But for now, we could talk about things we do know, and it's PGA. Scotty won the Memorial Cup, or the Memorial Tournament. With our friend Patricia with Casa Aficionado was in attendance. She had a booth set up at the 12th hole at Muirfield All Tourney, and we will cover it more next show because she gave Austin some comments that we will be going over, but just a little sneak peek as to what's in for you next week. We will be covering that in the PGA world. And then DeChambeau takes the Open, and Rory missed 2 3-foot putts. He was very frustrated. The crowd did not let him live that down. That it was a rough outing for Rory on that last hole, and it's what caused him to lose. He was tied for the lead, I believe, until he missed those 2 putts, and that's what gave DeChambeau the win. So, tough way to go out, honestly. But, yeah, so that's all the sports news I've got. So, we always say, S&S, to the moon.